everyone and welcome to another video. So today is going to be a totally different kind of video in a totally different setting, switching things up. Basically it's just going to be a relaxed, chatty video and I'm going to get some thoughts out and let you know my opinion on a few things. I've got some tea in my super adorable Baby Yoda mug, and if you want to grab something to drink, get comfy and let's get into what we're going to chat about today. So 2021 is the year that I turned 30. So I turned 30 in February. I had it in a little bit of a vlog. I can link it up there if you haven't seen it or would like to have a look. Didn't do that much vlogging on my birthday because I was enjoying myself. So as much as I could for lockdown, but yeah. Sometimes I think holding the camera kind of interrupts your enjoyment of just living the day. So I was in it a little bit to mark the day, but that was about it. But I will link it up above regardless. So something that I really wanted to do sort of to mark turning 30 is a video that I love watching other YouTubers do. So the videos that I'm talking about are the what I learned in my 20s kind of video, best life lessons in the last decade kind of thing. I love watching what people have learned and about themselves and about what they want from life. I find listening to what other people are thinking and feeling really fascinating. So I really wanted to do a video like this myself. So like I said, I turned 30 last month in February, and as you can imagine, it was on my mind a lot kind of in the lead up to it. I had the, oh my god, I'm 30 kind of freak out, and then realised that's stupid because what does it even mean and matter anyway? I've had the I'm excited I'm 30 because I feel like I'm an official adult now, and then the wait, I'm not an adult, I can't be trusted to be an adult, what, is there someone more grown up around? It's a funny age. You kind of feel more grown up and yet less grown up, and also that nothing's changed but everything's changed. It's a weird one, like very strange. It's about a month down the line from my birthday, almost exactly, and yeah, nothing really changes, realistically speaking, when you turn 30, that's for sure. Obviously, my birthday was in lockdown, so not a lot was done. I ended up just having a nice chill day. No complaints, really. I'm not a big party person anyway. But yeah, so what I thought I would do today is just sit down here in front of my fake fireplace and let you know 10 things thereabouts that I learned over the last few years. I would say the last decade, but probably not actually the last decade. The earlier part of my 20s definitely made a lot of mistakes, and then the later parts of my 20s learn from them, most definitely. So yeah, there are more realizations that I've come to in the last few years of my 20s, which I feel like I've become more comfortable. I know myself pretty well, and it's definitely better in the later part of your 20s than the earlier part. So I'm going to start off with number one being a really practical thing. Now, I should just put a little disclaimer here that not all of these points will relate to everybody. This is just my personal journey. If these things don't relate to you, then hopefully you'll still find the video interesting, but this is like definitely things for me. And this first point is something that I've really gotten on top of in the last year, even maybe not even as much as a year, but about a year, and that is getting on top of your finances. Oh my goodness, I cannot put into words the difference in stress levels when you have finally got on top of your finances. Now, I was very stupid in my younger years. I got into debt, not even doing anything interesting. It was shopping, and I was helping pay other people out of debt. Things that I've learned from, don't do that. I basically ended up in my mid-20s with double figures of debt, not including student loans, things like that, but just genuine credit card debt, loans, utter nonsense. Wish I'd never done half of it. Definitely didn't benefit from doing any of it, but also I think it was part of my finding myself kind of stage. So can you really regret it? I don't know. Definitely learn from it now. My wonderful best friend, she's fantastic with money, and yeah, so I started to get on top of it myself, set some goals for myself, and then I went to her and was like, look, I'm going to give you my budget, and I want you to tell me what you would do with my budget. What would you move around? What would you prioritize? I want your view on it. So we sat down one evening and she took apart my budget, redid it all with me there, obviously, and I am now a couple of months away from being completely debt-free. And as a couple, me and Ewan will be completely debt-free by the end of this year, which I did not think was possible this time last year. Absolutely not. Like, I've paid off a loan and a card, 2 cards, since that chat with my friend. And she's been so supportive, and I've been sending her new number kind of updates every now and then. And I finally cannot worry about money all the time. Which is fantastic. It's probably the biggest change I've made in the last little while that's made me feel more like I've got my shit together. And don't get me wrong, I'm still, you know, a complete numpty half the time. But when it comes to money, I do feel like I've finally got my shit sorted, which is really good. I feel like future things that I want can actually happen now, which is great. I think my 30s are going to be really great. And yeah, so getting on top of your finances, if that is something that you need to do, definitely try and get that done. Like, don't put any ridiculous deadlines on yourself. I mean, I did kind of have in my head that I really wanted to be debt-free by 30, and I'm not, but I feel secure in the fact that my 30th year will be the last year I'm in debt, which is amazing. So yeah, that is my number one big life lesson learned. And something that I would definitely recommend other people get sorted. It does make you feel a lot better, even though the initial part is really sore. Number 2, you could maybe tell, if you watch my vlogs, if you watch my videos, I'm very big into comfort. I slob around half the time in leggings. This is Ewan's old t-shirt. I do have nice clothes. I have a lot of nice clothes coming from the debt that mentioned in point 1. Half of them aren't comfortable, half of them no longer fit. Some of them I've never even worn, and I'm slowly, bit by bit, getting rid of them. It's a slow process. I always talk myself into keeping things. But what I've really discovered, and partially in part due to lockdown, is that I don't really need a lot of different types of clothes. Obviously, I haven't been going to work this year. I've been working from home. Even if I was going to work, I can still show up in leggings and a jumper and no one will care. I'm not customer facing, I'm not patient facing. I don't need to be smartly dressed to work, so I don't need work clothes, realistically. I very rarely go out, even pre-pandemic, very rarely went anywhere. So I don't need a lot of going out clothes either. So stuff like that sits in my wardrobe until it no longer fits, or I just don't like it anymore. And yeah, so basically this year I've lived out of a drawer. I've got a whole wardrobe full of clothes, and I've lived out of a drawer that has my leggings in and my comfy t-shirts. And they fit with my life. I can wear them to work. I can wear them to the horse. I can wear them to walk the dog. Sometimes I even wear them as pajamas. That's the clothes I need, realistically, and it's all comfy stuff. I wear trainers, I wear flat shoes, I wear flat boots. I have a wardrobe full of heels that get an outing once or twice a year, cover my feet in blisters, and go back for the next year's outing. And I'm going to be getting rid of it all bit by bit because I just don't need it. I have totally cracked my clothes buying issues because I used to spend way too much money on clothes. And this year has taught me how much I like to be comfortable, and I don't care if it looks a bit daft. I don't care about any of it anymore. I'm all about comfort, practical stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having like a sense of style and enjoying your fashion if that's what you want to do. I definitely did for very many years. But now I feel dressing the way I do, which is not exactly fabulous. Hey, I love chewy, but you know, not everyone's cup of tea. But I am so comfortable and I walk around completely fine. I would go to the shops in it and stuff. And then if I will eventually need to wear nicer clothes again, but I'm not going to be wearing anything uncomfortable. Everything's going to be comfort over fashion. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm past caring about if my legs look better in heels or if I look better with cleavage on show or whatever. I'm in the stage of my life where I'm quite happy to just chill out and wear what is comfy and practical for my life, and I don't really care about image anymore at all, which has been a really nice thing actually from coming up to my 30s, is that I don't really care about fitting in anymore. I don't really care about what people think. It's more just what works for me. So that is great. So number 3 is probably one of the biggest points on my list. I'm not entirely sure why I would put it as number 1. I don't think I didn't put these in order. They were just kind of as they came to me. But number 3 is a big one. Stop using the word perfect. I hate the word perfect. I find perfect and perfection to be offensive words. I hate them. Nothing is perfect, and I think if you strive for perfection, you're always let down. Nothing meets the internal high standards. Nothing is perfect at all. You get really good, really close to the ideal. You get stuff that's not close to the ideal. Perfect is just an absolute ridiculous term, and I don't believe in it. I've given up on perfection. I watch these YouTubers and read things in, you know, books and articles and stuff, people talking about they wanting the perfect this and the perfect that, and I'm like, no, just no. There is no such thing. I just feel like you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed because you can nitpick at that one little thing, that one little detail that wasn't right. Stop being so detail orientated. Stop looking for perfection. Enjoy what is. Don't taint it with this stupid inner desire for perfection. It's a non-existent thing. I don't know who created this concept, but it's bull. Absolute bull. And yeah, I just literally turn off when perfection starts being spoken about, because I'm not perfect, and I don't think anyone's perfect, and I don't expect anyone to be. And yeah, I'm just over it. So over it. So yeah, that is a big one for me. You can maybe tell that I feel strongly about this. I can't stand that word or term. Not too dissimilar for that. It's about accepting your flaws. I think you spend so much time trying to hide your flaws or overcome your flaws, become this version of yourself that you have in your head, this fantasy self. I just think letting go of that has been one of the most empowering things. I don't do that anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I had a fantasy self for different stages of my life, actually. Like when I was coming out of uni, I had a fantasy self of what I wanted my job to be like and what I wanted to do. When I started out of uni, I had done a science degree and I wanted to be a researcher, and I was going to do a PhD, and I did work in that field for quite a few years, and I was miserable. I was miserable because I was trying to live up to this fantasy of what I had in my head of what my future was going to be. And it wasn't that. That was never going to make me happy. And accepting that that was a fantasy and it wasn't what I wanted or needed was so freeing. And I don't do that. I do other things now. I have a different kind of job. I still work in kind of the medical kind of field, but from like more of a data standpoint, I'm not researching. I'm not scrabbling for funding and feeling miserable and feeling like I didn't fit in and trying to be this person I'm not. And yeah, and I've accepted a lot of my flaws. Like, am I as smart as I really wish I was? No, I have to work hard to be smart. It doesn't come naturally. I can understand things. If I apply myself, I can be knowledgeable on a topic, but it doesn't just magically come to me. That's not me. I would love to, you know, my old fantasy self would definitely say, shed a few pounds, be really athletic and fit and strong. I'm alright. Like, am I a little heavier than I probably should be? Yeah. Am I more unfit than I probably should be? Yeah. Am I doing what I love, what makes me happy? You know, I'm doing all that stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Like, I don't need to meet that goal of myself to be happy. I'm letting that go. I'm not keeping old clothes just because one day I'll go back to that size. I probably won't. And if I was gonna, I'd have to exercise way more and eat way less cheese. And that isn't gonna happen. So I'm just gonna enjoy eating the crap I want to eat, and I'm gonna chuck out the size 12 so that I'm always like, I'll get back into that someday. No, I don't want to go to HIIT class. I don't want to go running. I don't want to do any of it. I want to ride my horse and get more consistent with yoga and walk the dog, and that's it. And I have no intention of suffering to get a shape that I would then have to work to maintain, because Why would I? I have no intention of doing that at all. That's just one example. But yeah, letting go of the fantasy self. Just let it go. Just be who you are. There's all self-improvement. Self-improvement's fine. But, you know, look at mental health. I've struggled with mental health issues for, God, 7 or 8 years now at least. I was in uni anyway. Let me think, actually. Is that right? Yeah. God, it's probably coming up 9 years now, actually. And I used to always think, right, I'm on these pills and I'm gonna wait till I'm better, and then I'm gonna come off them, and then I won't need them anymore, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna be sorted. No, I'm still on the same medication I was years ago, and I'm okay with that. I've had some horrible times trying to come off of it and having my mental health hit the floor, and decided, you know what, I'm okay. I probably have some kind of chemical imbalance. My tablets help balance that out. They make me a better person. They make me happier. And I'm not going to try and come off them all the time now, because why? Just so I can say, I don't need pills. No, I need them. I need them very much. And I'm okay with that. And it's just accepting things. Like, stop striving for things that you're never going to get, or it would make you miserable to get. Just chill. All about the chill. Another kind of extension of that is something that I think a lot of people, I definitely used to be one of them, and a lot of other people struggle with as well, is that certain dreams require sacrifice. You know, if you want to be that skinny, athletic, toned person, you've got to sacrifice time, and the fact that you've got to go and do a lot of exercise. You've got to sacrifice a lot of great food that you want to eat because you want to get that figure. And you can't have both. Unless you're very lucky genetically, you can't really have both. You've got to kind of get a lifestyle that fits with that image that you want. You know, I would love to play the piano. And for years, I've said I would love to play the piano. I tinkered with the keyboard. I've, you know, forayed into it for phases. I don't have the commitment to learn to play the piano. I'm never going to commit enough to learn to do it. Give up on it. No, I mean, I can tinker, but I know I'm never going to be that person because I don't have the commitment or the motivation to learn it. Same with like dancing. I would love to be an amazing dancer. Do I want to go to lessons? No. Do I want to have to work really hard to do it? No. I'd rather just click my fingers and be really great at it. It's not going to happen. Writing a book. I'm a total book nerd. Love books. Books are the best. I'd love to be an author. Do I want to sit down and work really, really hard and write a book and then get loads of rejections? No, I'd rather just read them. So like the fantasy self in my head could be like me sitting as like a professor who's got loads of books out and has a fantastic figure. No, because I don't want to put the hard work into any of those things because they're fantasy and it's not what's going to make me happy. Some people, for any of those things, that would be a dream come true. You know, I can use an example of, you know, there's a YouTuber I watch, Katie Wismar. I watch her vlogs about her writing her books all the time. I think she's amazing. She's so hardworking and she's got loads of books out and she's amazing and she deserves all the success that she gets. I was watching an update from the Personal Philosophy Project last night and she's just been accepted to be a PhD student. I'm not entirely sure where, but she's been trying to get into the position of funding that and get her proposal accepted for years now. And she's incredibly, incredibly happy. And watching her last night brought tears to my eyes. I was so proud of her and happy for her because that's something that she really wants and really wants to put the effort into. And for me, I started a PhD and all I really wanted was to have the end goal and to have like the doctor part in my name. And turns out the whole researching part, kind of a drag, not really my cup of tea. After many years in education, I realized I was kind of burnt out of education and I probably shouldn't have done it. Didn't end up doing it, wasn't for me. Doesn't mean I can't be super happy for someone else who does that and wants it. That's amazing. But you know what I mean? It's like what someone wants to work for and put effort into is one thing, and other people might just want the end goal, but they don't want to put the work in. And then you kind of just have to let those go because not only are they never really going to happen, they probably shouldn't happen either, you know? So yeah, this whole fantasy self thing, let it go and just enjoy what you have. Don't give up on all your dreams. I'm not being a complete miser and saying give up on everything, especially things that are hard work. But be realistic about what dreams you want and what sacrifices you're willing to make to get them. That's the main thing. So this might be hard to believe. It certainly is hard to believe for a lot of my newer friends in my life. But when I was younger, I was painfully shy. And I mean painfully shy. Like, I didn't speak. I had no opinions. I was quiet. I just floated around as a lurker in groups, and I had no confidence in myself. I could never figure out why anyone would want to be friends with me. And I just thought everything I would say was boring, and I would embarrass myself if I did anything or put myself out there. I just basked in other people's confidence and personalities, and I had nothing of my own. And it took me a long time to get over that and realise that my opinions were valid and my thoughts were interesting, and I had every right to be a part of anything I wanted to be. It wasn't until probably 5th or 6th year leaving school, so I would have been about 17, I think I started having that realisation that actually I had just as much interesting things to say as anyone else. And after years of being painfully shy, it was very difficult to get over that, though that kind of habit sticks with you. And the only way I managed was a total fake it till you make it. I acted confident, I acted loud, I acted like I didn't care about what anyone thought. And after a while, I wasn't acting anymore. That's just how I felt, because I sought out experiences that I would have normally hid from. I hated public speaking, so I went and did public speaking. I hated being the centre of attention, so I'd make myself the centre of attention. And I did these kinds of things for years, to the point that now I'm not nervous being around groups of new people. I will talk to anyone. And it was literally, I just forced myself into do situations that I didn't want to do, that I would have hid from for years. And eventually I became confident because I put myself through that, and that's what worked for me. So yeah, if you're feeling really shy and really self-conscious, just put yourself out there, act like you're confident, and people believe it, because most people going around have an act on anyway. And also, the majority of people don't give a crap what you're doing anyway. They might, if you do something embarrassing, like if you trip and fall on your face, are they going to laugh? Probably. Are they going to forget about you in about 2 minutes? Yeah. No one cares. People are walking around with their own lives and their own problems, and they're not paying attention to the stupid goofball moments you have. If anything, you might just give them a bit of entertainment on a really dumb day. You know, I just think, I don't care anymore. I am who I am, and if you don't like it, I'm not losing any sleep over it anymore. And I'm a lot happier for it, absolutely. So one of my bigger mistakes, or I say bigger mistakes, one of my mistakes in my early 20s was being super career focused to the detriment of everything else. I basically put all my energy into my career, all my eggs into one basket. So when that wasn't going well, everything wasn't going well. I didn't have a balance in my life at all. I also felt very pushed into doing what I was doing. And I don't even think I realised until many years later that I did feel pushed. I thought I was just doing what I wanted to do, but I felt pressured. My family were not particularly academic. I am the first one that went to uni. There's been one more since me. Yes, one more. And yeah, I felt very pushed to go and be smart and go to uni and get these great grades. And then you had to get like one of the jobs that people recognize, like doctor or teacher or scientist, or, you know, jobs that like the older generation can recognize, because that's the kind of jobs that smart people got. So I was pushed towards medicine, didn't want to do it. The idea of being a doctor back then horrified me, and it still does. Would not have been the right path for me at all. Because I was really into science and stuff, I went down the scientist route, and I enjoyed science. I enjoyed the practical side of it. I liked doing experiments and recording results. That was great. The actual researching papers and giving talks, boring. Try to rat for funding all the time, boring. Being miserable all the time, not for me. It was also one of those careers that to really succeed in it, you have to give it your all. You have to put in a lot of hours, a lot of work. And I wanted to have balance in my life. I wanted to have other things and other hobbies. And I couldn't really find that balance in that career. I think people that display capabilities to do something, like you can be really good at maths, or you can really be really good at science, or really good at English, They're pushed to be the potential top of their field. It's something I feel. Maybe this is not done everywhere. I went to a private school, so maybe I felt that more than others. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the same in public schools as well. But you're very much like, you show an aptitude for anything, and it's like, well, you have to go and be the top in that job. That's what they push you to. That's what they tell you about. And it's like, so unrealistic. Like, some people will get there, and that's great. Some people will get there and they don't even want to be there, which is less great. And then some people will never get to where they feel like the path was set for them, and they'll always feel disappointed in life. And I just think it's good to encourage, but then you've got to be a very fine line between encouraging and just putting unrealistic, unsustainable expectations on people. And I followed that path that was set for me by family, by teachers, by careers advisors. I followed it. I was smart enough to do it. I had the grades, I had the ability, I could have done it, I could have gone further. But I realised after a few years of being utterly miserable that it's not what I even wanted to do. I was a part of a fantasy of what I wanted my life to be, and I was trying to make people proud of me. And that's not sustainable. You can't live your life trying to make other people proud of you. And I had to do what was going to make me happy. And so that path wasn't right for me, and I left it. And I got a whole bunch of different jobs. I've worked in loads of different places, met loads of new people, and I value those experiences so much more because I had to think on my feet and show initiative and learn. And I've learned way more doing all these random jobs I wasn't even trained to do. I learned so much, and they are much more valuable experiences to me than being stuck in academia for years that I didn't even really appreciate being there. I didn't enjoy it. I felt stuck. So yeah, like, you don't have to aim for the top of anything. You can just do a job that makes you happy. You don't have to stick to the same job for years. I think there's I think the stigma's finally going. You can start having a career and do lots of different things. But when I was starting out anyway, it was very much you pick a job and just stay there, because if you don't stay in the career you started with, you failed somehow. And that was a really difficult thing to get over, because I really felt like I'd failed when I was leaving science. And I didn't fail. I chose a different path. It wasn't right for me, and I went there for the wrong reasons. And I think that is a better way of looking at things. Like, you're not failing because you're changing your path or changing your decision. I've worked for the council, I've worked for universities, I've worked for NHS, I've worked for stables, I've worked for shops, I've worked for loads of different things, and I've learned different things everywhere. And I don't feel like I'm a failure because I'm a bit of a job hopper, or have been in the past. I have no qualms about leaving a job when I get bored of it and I want to learn something new. I don't think there's an issue with that. And I think if that's the path you want to go down, go for it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like you've failed. You can explore what you want as long as you want. Just live your life for you is a big one. Something else that's really important that I think you establish over the years is what your values are. And I think you learn your values based on bad experiences as well as good experiences, but mainly bad ones. Like, you can learn what you want, like a work-life balance. You can learn if you want to be more into the career side of things, if you want to be less career and more kind of outside influence type stuff. You can learn your values from your family and your changing relationships with them. You can learn it from relationships with partners and what you don't want in relationships. Like my early relationships, I basically learned what I didn't want, because everyone that I went through was like, oh, actually, this is not what I want from a relationship. This is not what I want from my future. And I can look back and say what I've learned from each one. And I think establishing your values takes time. But when you figure out what's really important to you, that's the boundaries you need to set and you need other people to stick to. And I'm not saying you can't be, say, friendships. I'm not saying you can't be friends with someone with different values to you. You can, if you're respectful of their values and boundaries. Like me and my best friend, we have a lot in common, but we also have a lot of differences. And we used to fight over our differences, and now we just talk to each other about them and listen to each other's point of view. And it's like, oh, you feel that way? Okay, that's interesting. And then I can respect that decision. I don't have to live by it myself, but it's fine. And I'm a lot more open-minded, and I can be very open-minded with other people's stuff but then there's certain boundaries I don't want crossed, that there's things that they need to respect about me. And I think you need to set those boundaries, because if people don't know your boundaries, then they can break them and upset you and not know about it, and then it causes conflict that doesn't need to happen. If they know your boundaries and still choose to break them, then you know that they don't respect you or your feelings or things like that, and then they're maybe not people you want to have around. Having values that make you who you are, and letting other people in your life know what they are, is really important. I feel like I can't talk about life lessons without talking about friends. I have gone through funny relationship with friends over the years. It took me a long time to realise that old saying, what is it? Some friends are with you for a season. Wait, how does it go? I totally remember. It's something like that. Some friends are with you forever and some are with you for a season, or something like that. In my younger years, I had a lot of friends that I was really close to. Like, not big groups, but like a friend that I was really close to for a short amount of time, and then something changed. Either a relationship changed, or what they wanted from their life changed, or they moved away, or they had a baby, or lots of different things. And sometimes that's just what happens. Sometimes you have friends that their life totally changes and you somehow manage to accept those changes and build on a relationship and they last. And other people, one little thing changes and suddenly the whole dynamic's gone, and that's just, they're not as close to you as they were. And when I was younger, I used to feel, again, like I was a failure. Like, how could I not keep friends around? Why did they always end up leaving? Or why did we always end up growing apart? And now I have friends now that I've been friends with for years, that some I see quite a lot, several times a week, some that I see a couple times a year, and some that I have an occasional phone call with, and we can chat on the phone like, you know, like we always used to. And it's like, okay, I don't see you all the time, but we are still really good friends. And I think I don't feel the same way that I don't have friends that stick around. I've got a small number of people that I'm willing to put the effort in to maintain our friendships. And that, let's face it, maybe the people in the past, maybe I wasn't willing to put the effort in to maintain them, because friendships are not easy. Relationships aren't easy. You have to put effort in. And if you're not willing to put effort in, things are probably going to suffer. So like I say, friends are a funny one. Don't feel too pressured to have this American sitcom group of friends that's always seems to be around, that, you know, everyone lives in each other's lives. It's not really realistic, not for everyone. So don't feel like you're not living the right way if you don't have that. Absolutely not. And also, good friends can buoy you up, they can support you, and they can be amazing sources of comfort and great times and advice and all these amazing things. And toxic friends can be the most draining, horrible leeches on your life that you can imagine. And you really need to learn when to cut them loose. I've had so many of those friends that kind of latch on to you, and they're so draining and they make you miserable, and you don't even realize it, that they're the problem. You need to learn how to get rid of toxic friends. Very difficult. I've got no hotshot tips for that. But when you recognize that someone's a total energy sucker, get rid as quickly as you can. So we're coming up to the last couple of points. One of them I just learned very recently, actually from a book I read. And the other one is something that I've learned kind of from talking to one of my friends, because we have a different opinion on it. And I kind of touched on it earlier as well. So maybe I'll start with that one. I mentioned before this fear of failure that I had a lot of the time growing up. And what I've learned is that failure is not a problem. Failure does not mean that you suck, that you're terrible. Failure is part of learning. You can't be fantastic at everything when you first start. And you can't get anywhere without having a few failures to get you on the right path, get you learning better, more efficiently. You learn more from failing than you do from succeeding. You shouldn't be ashamed of failing things. It's the stigma on that word. You need to use it as a learning opportunity and stop being so stressed about failing. My friend has a real worry about failing, about people thinking she's a failure. And it's like, but it's all part of learning, and you can't let that bother you, or that will hamper you more than anything else. Don't get stuck on those perceived failures. This is just you going through life and learning, and you cannot be perfect. Go back to rule number 3, you can't be perfect. You're gonna mess up sometimes. And my last one, number 10, is uncertainty. Uncertainty, you say. So I was reading a book, it's called The Worry Cure by Robert Leahy, and he said, know what you can never know. Uncertainty is a big source of worry for me. It always has been. I would rather know a negative outcome now than have to wait and be uncertain and potentially get a positive outcome, because I can deal with things I know. I can't deal with uncertainty. But there are some things that will be uncertain. You never know a lot of things. You don't know where you're going to be in a certain amount of time. You don't have that kind of control. Sometimes things are going to be fantastic and then have a complete U-turn and be dreadful, and you can never see it coming. And you can only really deal with what's put out in front of you. And sometimes you just have to deal with the fact that you don't know everything, and life's going to throw you some curveballs. You don't know everything. And that's something that I am still struggling with, but I'm aware that it's something that I need to work on. So that felt a little heavier than I meant it to be, but those are my main life lessons that I've learned in my 20s. Like I said at the start, mainly the later part of my 20s, when I was fixing some of the mistakes I made in my earlier part of my 20s. Would I change anything? Probably not. I'm very much a believer in all your experiences add up to the person you are now, and I wouldn't really want to change anything because I like who I am now. I'm not for everyone. Some people like me, some people don't, and I'm okay with that. And I think the biggest thing about being 30, reaching this point in my life, is I'm so much more comfortable with who I am, and I am all for living life to the fullest and enjoying what's in front of me and not getting too hung up on stuff that just doesn't matter. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Bit of a different one for me. I quite liked filming in this little setup here, so I might do this again. So yeah, like I said, hope you enjoyed and found it interesting. Comment down below if there's anything that you learned. Maybe not so much for turning 30, but any monumental life lessons that you feel like you've learned that have changed your life or anything like that. Leave them in comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!